Kyoto reworks their plan to kill Yuji under the guise of Gakuganju.
I forgot about this. I'll admit, I completely forgot about this whole side war in Jujutsu. Just wanting to kill Yuji. Shout out to the OGs, but I know a lot of you guys never saw me react to season 1 of JJK, so this guy was able to talk about it in 15 minutes. So, here you go.
We'll be covering everything from the Cursed Child's arc to the Death's Paintings arc. So let's get into it.
Oh, that's what those arcs are
called.
called.
Starts off with the frightened teen Yuta Okotsu, who is being haunted by the cursed spirit of his dead friend Rika. After one incident, he is basically kidnapped by Jujutsu sorcerers and introduced to Satoru Gojo, in hopes that he will be able to control Rika. We get the siblings introduced to the other first years, Maki, Inumaki, and Panda. They almost kill
Panda!
But come around to him rather quickly. Yuta is then assigned his first mission with Maki. It doesn't go well. Maki almost dies, but Rika saves them. Yuta then goes on another mission with Inumaki. This one's a bit more successful, except for the creepy guy that's watching them. This is our first major antagonist, Geto, who wants to get control of Rika so he can beat Gojo. He's also a
I cannot believe they did my guy dirty like that, man.
Geto then visits Jujutsu Tech and basically says he's going to throw an evil parade. This forces the majority of Jujutsu sorcerers to focus on said parade, leaving the students alone at the high school, which is, of course, where Geto goes. He incapacitates Maki, Inumaki, and Panda pretty easily, which makes Yuta mad. He and Rika fight together to beat Geto, and it goes pretty well, forcing Yuta to profess his love to Rika, which opens her eye and lets her fire a gigantic laser, which overwhelms Geto. He escapes alive, but then runs into Gojo. They talk for a bit, and then Gojo tells him that he's still his best friend. And then Geto dies. After that, Yuta goes overseas and a new first year is introduced. This is Megumi, and he ends up at the same school as Yuji Itadori while looking for the finger. Yuji's grandfather dies, and it pretty much gives him all the motivation he needs thanks to his dying message. After he's been cremated, Megumi approaches Yuji about the finger, and Yuji tells him the Occult Research Club has it. They hurry over to the school as the kids are in danger.
Wait a minute, time out. But it just hit me. And I forget what year these guys were drafted, but are you taking the Gojo class or the Yuji class, man? What class? Even knowing what hindsight and what happens in the future. If you're a scout, you're drafting for sorcerer school, you're drafting for Jujutsu High. I ain't gonna lie, man. We ain't done with the 90s. Give me Gojo. Geto, we gonna keep you away from anybody fucking crazy because you're a fucking lunatic, and give me Shorty, and we gonna ball up, man. Look, I ain't gonna downplay what my boy Yuji can do. I ain't gonna downplay what my boy Sasuke be cooking up with the roses are red joke that apparently I need to watch Hood Shibuya because apparently roses are red and violets are blue or some shit. and obviously shout out my Shorty with the hammer and nails, but that 90s class is built a little different. I don't know what to tell you.
But to eat the finger, resurrecting Sukuna. Megumi realizes this is a dire situation, and he tries to summon something, but it turns out Yuji can still control his body. Then Gojo shows up, harasses Megumi, and fights Sukuna for a bit, before knocking out Yuji. We then get a brief overview of the world of Jujutsu as Yuji is introduced to Jujutsu Tech Tokyo, where he has to pass a test from Masamichi to make sure his motivations are strong enough for the world of Jujutsu.
He gets pressed the fuck
Gojo,
out.
Megumi, and Yuji then go to pick up the last first year Nobara, who immediately asserts her dominance.
Nobara. I keep forgetting your name, bruh. That was Pollen, not crying. Yo, Pollen is kicking my f***ing ass. But no, now it's kind of crying because they're so fucking happy. Anybody who smiles, I think, is gonna die now, bro.
They are then sent on a quick mission where Nobara almost dies, but ultimately saves the day after being saved by Yuji. We then get a bit of her backstory. The mission is a success, and the students are sent on another mission a month later. This one is at a juvie center. They have to defeat a cursed room that could become a special grade cursed spirit. Upon entering the detention center, Megumi notices it's an incomplete domain. They find a dismembered body, and Yuji wants to bring the body back. Megumi doesn't because they don't have time. They argue for a while, but it ultimately gets interrupted because Nobara gets abducted. This is also when Megumi's dog gets crushed in a wall, and then the finger bearer appears.
GG's. Yo, that nigga popping up like was so crazy and creepy for zero reason, bro.
Once those two are out of the domain, Yuji switches with Sukuna. He easily destroys the finger bearer, eats the finger, and lets Yuji take over his body. Just kidding, Yuji doesn't come back for some reason. So Sukuna decides to mess with Megumi a little bit. They fight, Megumi gets obliterated, and then tells Yuji that he has no regrets about saving him before Yuji dies. We are then introduced to the disaster curses and Geto again. Meanwhile, Nobara and Megumi are not taking Yuji's death super well, but this
Look, I know some of y'all gonna be like, Sage, you like Geto? Yes! Cool power, cool concept. Not gonna lie, a little f***ed up vision, but that's besides the point. Yes, I with gang, bro. He just a lonely child. He just got a little off. My boy needs therapy. That's all that is, bro. But damn.
Master curses and ghetto again. Meanwhile, Nobara and Megumi are not taking Yuji's death super well, but the second years help cheer them up. They tell the first years about the Tokyo Goodwill event, and both of them agree to get stronger for Yuji. Speaking of Yuji, he might not be dead. He makes a pact with Sukuna that will bring him back to life. He rises from the dead at the same time that Gojo is renting to Ijichi. After celebrating his rebirth, Gojo asks Shoko to keep Yuji dead on official reports so he can be trained in secret. Back with Geto, he tells the cursed spirits about the plan to potentially seal Gojo, so cursed spirits can take their rightful place on top of the world. Then Gojo,
you ugly. That volcano was always ugly.
Then Jogo tries to kill Gojo, but it doesn't really work. Instead, it gets turned into a learning moment, and Jogo gets, well, decapitated. But he doesn't die because he's saved by Hanami. They head back to their hideout and we're introduced to a new curse, Mahito. The students visit with the principal.
My best friend!
It doesn't take long for a fight to break out. Todo and Megumi go at it for a while. A month later, there's some funky people found in a theater, and Yuji is sent to investigate with a new sorcerer, Nanami. But first we get introduced to Junpei, who's a victim of bullying that is under Mahito's tutelage. Turns out Mahito is the one that was behind the movie theater incident. Nanami and Yuji investigate the crime scene, where they find some more cursed spirits. Except it's not cursed spirits, it's transfigured humans. Killing these things makes Yuji uncomfortable, but Nanami assures him they were already beyond saving. Meanwhile, Junpei gets an explanation on how cursed manifest.
Like, we're normalized to Mahito's ability now, but like even in season 2, when I saw this tap a human and turn that motherfucker into a sword, I'm like, oh, isn't that cool a little bit? But that's so bro. Like I hate you, bro.
And shortly after, he is identified as a person of interest. So Yuji is tasked with tailing him with a fly head. At the same time, Mahito and Nanami enter combat. Yuji and Junpei talk before Junpei notices Yuji's uniform. They head back to Junpei's for dinner, while Nanami requests treatment from Shoko.
Dinner is
as well, and Junpei has a heart-to-heart with Yuji after asking him if he would kill people if he was forced to do so. Yuji leaves Junpei in a pretty decent mental space. Unfortunately, shortly after, Junpei's mom dies, as someone left one of Sukuna's fingers on the table, attracting curses. This sends Junpei into a downward spiral, so he goes to his school to kill his tormentors. Right before he can, Yuji enters the gym and they start combat. Junpei gives a big emo speech and Yuji does what he does best.
Shit is so
for the most part, as Junpei continues to mourn and suffer, Yuji offers to take him back to Jujutsu High School, where he can start anew. But Mahito interrupts, restraining Yuji and transfiguring Junpei. Junpei attacks Yuji and he with Sukuna, but he refuses. This sends Yuji into rage and he begins combat with Mahito.
Yo, Sukuna. Yo, the fact that like this really begged Sukuna for like a good 5 minutes, did nothing, and the second bro transfigures. Yo, this motherfucker's an asshole, bro. Like, I've already hated Mahito, but Sukuna is like, he's an asshole, but I ain't gonna lie, I need to see bro cook up a little bit more before I get pissed off at him, because he a bucket. I ain't gonna lie. Like, if you a bucket, I'll with you. Mahito, he not even like a bucket. He's a good hooper. Mahito knows how to play the game. But I don't really like him, bro. I just want that nigga to die.
Don't go great for the high schooler until Nanami shows up.
Oh yeah,
for a while,
the first JJK jumping.
Transfigured humans, and his beating combined with Nanami's gives Mahito inspiration for his domain expansion. It traps just Nanami inside, and we are given his backstory as it looks like the end is near. But Yuji breaks in at.
I'll say this: season 2 saved Nanami for me. Year 1, season 1, I did not give a fuck about Nanami at all. I gotta be honest. I just called him Night Eye. I really didn't give a fuck about him until season 2.
Mahito touches his soul, activating Sukuna's promise from earlier, which heavily injures
Don't touch me again.
Main collapses, and Mahito just barely escapes. Gojo is annoying Nanami before deciding it's time to reintroduce Yuji to the living world. It's perfect timing because the Tokyo students are just about to depart for Kyoto, or at least that's what Nobara thinks. Panda corrects her, and shortly after, the Kyoto students arrive. Then it's time for Gojo's surprise. Yuji's return is not appreciated. Nobara and Megumi chew him out. Team Tokyo reworks their plan to include Yuji, and Kyoto reworks their plan to kill Yuji, under the guise of Gakuganji, of course. Everyone gets fired up.
I forgot about this. I'll admit, I completely forgot about this whole side war in Jujutsu. I did forget about this. I don't know if that's bad or not, but I definitely forgot about Unk just wanting to kill Yuji. Hey, Hey! Subscribe to the channel and become a member. That's where all the uncut stuff is. Follow up the Twitch as well. All right, let's get back to the video.
Anyway, Team Tokyo quickly locates a cursed spirit, but before they can get to it, Todo crushes it and engages in combat with Yuji. The other students break off and Yuji gets beat up a bit, but his toughness gains Todo's admiration. Todo and Yuji work together to improve Yuji's fighting capabilities and get a bit of Panda's backstory and learn he's a cursed corpse created by Masamichi.
There's nothing cursed about the panda. He's panda.
These two fight for a while and they're both pushed to the brink, but Panda emerges victoriously. Rendering Nekomaru. At the same time, Miwa and Maki engage in combat as well. We're switching perspectives to Nobara, who is chasing Momo and trying to hit her with her nails to beat the shit out of her with a squeaky hammer. But right before she can land the final, Mai has to face down Maki, and it ends with Maki forcing Mai to reveal her curse technique, and Mai losing shortly after we get her backstory. We then cut to Megumi running while
I need to rewatch this season
because
I can't say that I don't remember them as I see it, but like if I had to tell you the next scene, can't do it. I just remember my favorite fight of this season coming up, but that's about it.
In the context of their clans before clashing, Miwa gets knocked out by Inumaki. He then feels an intimidating presence, and it turns out to be one of the special grade cursed spirits, Hanami. A curtain begins to fall over the arena. All of the teachers rush towards the curtain, but they don't make it in time. Turns out the only one that is affected by this curtain is Gojo. Shiro tries to escape while using a combination of cursed speech and piercing blood, and they just barely make it outside before Inumaki and Kamo hit their limits. Inumaki is just enough for one last command. Does give Maki and Megumi time to engage. This time with
my best friend.
Giving the curse to Todo and
Jump
Yuji.
this.
This opportunity to get Yuji to grow again by forcing him to land a black flash before he intervenes.
Hell yeah!
The duo was launched into the sky on a mess of roofs.
This is easily.
With the
I'm not gonna lie. Comment below your favorite season 1 fight. This is easily my favorite season 1 fight. It's out the water, and I'm not the most qualified in terms of all this shit because I literally have only seen JJK one time through. I haven't rewatched season 1. Haven't rewatched season 2. I need man. This was the fight that was like, okay, I'm no longer watching JJK just because I feel obligated to know ball and things like that. And I was obviously interested in things before, right? Like the first time Mahito and Sukuna torture bro, or even the time before that when Yuji just loses a hand and then loses the fingers, and then you know what I'm saying. There was other interesting moments, but this was the moment where I was like, yeah, I care about all these motherfuckers, bro.
Disappear and they are sent hurtling to the ground. Upon landing, the battle only gets more intense, and Todo decides it's finally time for him to use his curse technique. But first, we get a flashback to Todo in middle school, where we see him beating up some people and meeting a mysterious woman. Back in the present, Todo isn't. The curtain disappears at the last second with Gojo in its place. He assesses the situation before mutilating Juzo.
That nigga was here in season 1. Wow. Hey. Yo, I didn't know he was out. Wow.
Gojo then uses Hollow Purple, which almost kills Hanami. The curse barely gets away, but the operation was an overall success for the curses, as Mahito stole 3 deaths paintings and at least 1 finger of Sukuna. The villains then regroup and devise their next plan. Yuji hits a home run, winning Tokyo the game with an assist from Inumaki. An undetermined amount of time passes, and we watch a guy get killed by a Diglett. This Diglett is to be investigated by the first years, and said investigation brings them to Megumi's middle school.
Would Pokemon go hard in this verse? Oh my god, I think Pokemon clear. Because some lower end Pokemon like Jigglypuff, you're done, buddy. But like a Zapdos, God forbid an Arceus, a Mute, oh Pokemon versus JJK is something that I need now. Death battle it up.
We learn Megumi was a bully's bully, and they went to the same school as his half-sister Sumiki. Play whack-a-mole until Nobara is forced out of the domain by an unknown set of hands. Megumi continues to fight with him. Meanwhile, in the domain, the Diglett turns out to be another finger bearer. Things start to get hairy once Kichizu and Yuji see Esso's back. This and a hit from Nobara makes Esso mad, so he activates his maximum technique, Wing King. Yuji and Nobara book it. Kichizu appears out of nowhere and sprays Yuji with his nasty blood. Nobara is struck by Wing King. This makes them both victims of the rot technique, and they will be dead in a matter of minutes. It is then revealed how the death paintings came to be, as an ancient sorcerer Noritoshi Kamo, different one, experimented on a woman, forcing her to have 9 pregnancies and 9 abortions. Which would turn into a death painting. Back in the present, Nobara uses resonance on herself to hurt the paintings, and Yuji goes after Kichizu because he is weaker. Nobara continues to nail herself until Kichizu cries out in pain, causing Esso to deactivate their rot technique. The duo swap spots, and facing their new opponents, they land a double black flash, gravely injuring the brothers. Esso can sense that his brothers have died.
Nah, I do remember this shit. Yeah, that shit was fire.
They regroup with Megumi, who gives the finger to Yuji, but it's promptly eaten by Sukuna. The kids are all okay, and we get a bit of an overview for where everyone is at the end of this season, with pretty much everyone being recommended for promotion and the trio on their way to meet Gojo for another mission. And that's it.
But hey, man, nah, JJK season 1, as fantastic as it was, and how this guy really did explain it in 15 minutes, I gotta confess, man, season 2 kind of clears, man. And there's no disrespect to season 1. Season 1 can even go down as underrated depending on how season 3 looks. But man, season 2 is that shit. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you guys like the JJK content as I evolve from a casual to casual plus to maybe a guy that knows all 13 domains. Hell, this guy ranked them. But let me know your thoughts. Take care and stay blessed. Shout out to the creators, man. Shout out to This Is Chris. Until next time.